Q and Review, celebrating 40 years of audio production, welcomes you to this week's edition of the Glasgow Times Sports Podcast, recorded from our studio in the Bishopbriggs Media Centre and by our volunteers working from home. Keep up to date with Q and Review news via our Facebook, X, formerly known as Twitter, or Instagram at Q and Review. That's @CUEANDREVIEW, or get in touch with us directly by emailing information@qandreview.com. That's INFORMATION @CUEANDREVIEW.com, or by calling us on 0141 772 3979. Please like and share our podcast and give us constructive feedback.
Evening Times Sport, April 21. Patterson following in father's footsteps. Report by Robert Robertson. Hawick-born Derek Patterson, father of Hector, who has just signed his first one-year professional contract with Edinburgh, was one of the best Scottish scrum halves of his generation. There are indications already that his son, who plays the same position, could emulate him and go on to play for his country. The only reason Dad Derek won just 2 Scotland caps, the 1994 defeat to South Africa at Murrayfield and the 1995 World Cup group stage win over Tonga, is that first choice 9, Brian Redpath, hardly picked up an injury, was at the peak of his powers and went on to captain Scotland and win 60 caps. That should not take away from the talent of Patterson Sr., who was much in demand at club level at the dawn of professionalism in the mid-1990s, and held his own at international level against legends of the game, such as the late great Springbok number 9, Joost van der Westhuyzen. He played for West Hartlepool, an ambitious side at the time that also had former Scotland captain Rob Wainwright in its team. From there, he played for Edinburgh, Caledonia Reds, then Glasgow Warriors, before being poached by French giants Stade Francais, ending his professional career with Italian side Petrarca. Not surprisingly, his son Hector names his dad as his biggest influence and one of the guiding lights in his rugby career. The 21-year-old Patterson played for Hawick before joining the Capital Club's youth academy. He was a key member of the Scotland side that won the 2024 World Rugby Under-20 trophy and got his first senior start for Edinburgh in the 31-30 win over Zebra at the weekend. He had a dream debut scoring a try. His teammate Piers O'Connor described him as a small man with a lot to say, who is good at marshalling the team around, which was a bit like his dad in his day. There is clearly a good relationship between father and son, because when Hector was asked if he is a similar player to his father, he jokingly replied, "I hope not." He then goes on to say he is perfectly happy to be compared to him. "Seriously though, we are similar," he said. "An old man at Melrose compared me to my dad without knowing me, so that was nice to hear, so it seems we are quite similar. My dad always pushes me on. If I say something is good, he will say it could be better. He keeps pushing me to get better and not be comfortable where I am. The good thing is that the game has changed since my dad's day. There's a lot less fighting going on, which is good. I don't want to be part of that." The Edinburgh scrum half revealed it had been delightful to score a try on his Edinburgh debut, but admitted he had been frustrated that it had been such a long time coming. I was excited and a bit nervous for 2 weeks after Sean told me I was going to make my debut against Zebra, said the man from Denham in the Scottish borders. Knowing I was going to play was good, as it got me mentally prepared for it, and I was chuffed with how it went on Friday night. That was my first game for 6 months since I played 5 minutes for Hoyk in a win over Curry and hurt my wrist, so it was good to get back out there. Also, this is my 3rd season, and if I did not want it to be a wasted season with only a couple of games left, to get the good news from Sean that I was making my debut took a weight off my shoulders, so I hit a big goal of mine. My debut was everything I dreamed it would be. Pulling on the jersey for the first time in a competitive match in front of our own fans at the Hive is a moment I will carry with me forever. I loved every single moment of it, and it has only made me hungrier for more. Signing my first pro deal is what I have been working towards my whole career. I feel I can really kick on and keep improving as a player under Sean and the coaching staff. The environment here gives me that chance. I am excited for what the future holds for me. Patterson said apart from his dad, the staff and players at Edinburgh had been so supportive as he rose up the ranks. And he continued, Ben Vellacott, Charlie Shield and Scott Steele have been a big part of my learning at 9, as have our coaches Bob Christie and Henry Purgos. The time Bob and Henry put in with me on Wednesdays and after sessions have been times I will cherish. It is also good to chat to the players I played with at the under 18 and under 20 level, like Liam McConnell, Tom Curry and Freddie Douglas. Edinburgh head coach Sean Everett said he believes that Hector has the potential to go in and play for Scotland like his dad, and added, Hector has worked hard for his pro contract. He seemed comfortable on his debut, and I was pleased with the form that he showed on what was a big evening for him at the Hive, in a team that has been under pressure. It was great that he could bring a different type of energy, and we're really happy to have him at the club going forward. He's certainly one for the future. He has a lot of growth to do in his game, and we as coaches need to assist him in getting there as quickly as possible, as he is good enough to go play international rugby. Evening Times Sport, April 21. Michael Stewart hits out at petty and pathetic SFA ban. Report by Mark Hendry. Michael Stewart has warned of a dangerous precedent set by the Scottish FA over his Hampden ban, branding the fallout petty and pathetic. The Premier Sports pundit was blocked from entering the National Stadium for the Scottish Cup semi-finals last weekend for criticising the state of refereeing in Scotland. Stewart had been due to commentate on both fixtures, but was forced to work from the broadcast truck for Dunfermline versus Falkirk, which brought further anger from the SFA, who extended his stadium ban to the car park. Now the former Hibs and Hearts midfielder has blasted back at the governing body over the ban and insisted he should be entitled to have his say, good or bad, without the risk of lockout. Stewart told Premier Sports Scottish Football Social Club, I'm not going to sit here and play some sort of victim, because I'm big and ugly enough to take it on my shoulders, but there's a strain that comes with it, and for everyone else around me as well. I take a lot of pride in trying to be straight and honest with my assessment of things. Clearly, that upsets people in power sometimes. Ultimately, I'm not here to appease them. I'm trying to be honest, and I think that's important. There's a serious issue here, and a dangerous precedent set by the SFA. They see fit to ban me for things that I have said. There is a false narrative that's been peddled, claiming there has been over the year of complaints and conversations between the referees and the SFA, who are unhappy by how I've approached things. My retort to that would be, why on earth did the SFA not decide to discuss this with their broadcasting partners at Premier Sports? Stewart went on to explain the response from the SFA to his working from the car park and branded their stance farcical. And he added, they did not take kindly to the fact I am still being given an opportunity on the broadcasting team on the footprint of Hampden in the car park. They sent an email to Premier Sports saying they had not followed what had been asked of them, whatever that means, and that I was banned from the car park. Quite simply, it was farcical. The fallout has been petty and pathetic. What sort of country do we live in that an institution sees fit to ban somebody for having an opinion they don't agree on? Fundamentally, that's what this is about. Everything I have done is out there in the public domain. Premier and myself have asked for 6 months for better communication. Is it really a tenable position to say, we're not happy, and not communicate? Then you're banned. That's not how grown-ups behave. Report by Mark Henry. Evening Times Sport, April 22. Josh McCafferty reports that Celtic keeper glad to see side put 6 past St Mirren. Like McGill's buses, after waiting over an hour for 1, 2, 3 and then 4 all arrive in quick succession. Celtic's 6-minute blitz in the extra time against St Mirren on Sunday, which saw them into the Scottish Gas Men's Scottish Cup final after a 2-2 draw in 90 minutes, has given goalkeeper Viljami Sinisalo encouragement that his outfield colleagues have found their shooting boots at the perfect juncture. Martin O'Neill's men eventually triumphed 6-2 at Hampden, with Dazen Maida, Anthony Ralston, Kelechi Iheanacho, Luke McCowan and Benjamin Nygren all on the score sheet. And he says, it's very pleasing to get 6 goals. We haven't done that in a while. I'm hopeful we'll take a lot from that. It's almost like opening a ketchup bottle. Hopefully the goals can start flying in like they've done there. It's definitely there. It's just putting yourself in that position more often, playing the forward pass more often, and being in and around their box to have their moments. You've got quality still at the top end of the pitch. We definitely do. It's just being around that area more often. I wouldn't say it's the word frustration, but we've got to somehow find a way to be in that moment more often. And like we were 4 times in 5 or 6 minutes, if you put pressure on your opponent and play it forward, you've always got a chance of causing moments like that. And then individual brilliance sometimes takes over, like it did on Sunday. Celtic came out of the blocks flying at the National Stadium, and Maida had them ahead inside the opening minute. Ralston made it 2 before the break, but St Mirren fought back and took the tie to extra time courtesy of Michael Mandron's brace. Ultimately, though, the Paisley side had no response for an indomitable 6 minutes, during which Celtic scored 4 goals. Everything they touched turned to gold. Akin to his opposite number, Ryan Mullen, Sinisalo had more than a few uncertain moments with the ball at his feet, inviting pressure from the opposition when building up play from the back. Sinisalo said, "I thought we started really well, stuck to the game plan. Then there was a little bit of a spell of 10 minutes where we lost control, me being included in that, let's be honest. I take responsibility when I have a moment like that myself, but I'm pleased that it's not cost us. I've said it many times, if I make a mistake, hopefully I'll never make the same one again. That's stuff you learn from. No one's perfect. Everyone does make mistakes, me included." The objective over the next month for Celtic is plain. Win 6 games and win the double. They kick off their Scottish Premiership post-split fixtures at home to Falkirk this weekend, before travelling to face Hibs at Easter Road. O'Neill's men then run the gauntlet in the final week of the league campaign, hosting Rangers and Hearts with a trip to Fir Park sandwiched in the middle. Behind the scenes, the mantra is simple: 1 game at a time. But as he addressed the media in the mixed zone at Hampden on Sunday, Sinisalo gave a glimpse of the real mentality of the squad when he said, "We will definitely be going for it. There is definitely a belief within and amongst the group and the staff that we can do something, but I won't say any more than that. We are a very tight-knit group. We fight for each other. We are good teammates. That's fine. That's the job. You get criticised. That's absolutely fair. That's fine. That's what you sign up for when you're a footballer. But the belief is there, very much focused on the next one. Not really focused on anything further than that. That's the only thing we can control. Do our job and see where it takes us. We'll take confidence, very much looking forward to the next one. It's all you can do. You can't really control anything else other than that. And that's very much the mentality. It's going to stay like that." Report by Josh McCafferty. Evening Times Sport, April 22. Celtic Ultras send rallying cry ahead of home fixtures. Report by Ryan McGinley. Celtic's 2 leading Ultras groups have joined forces to send a message to the Parkhead support ahead of the club's 3 home games post-split. This weekend, Martin O'Neill's side take on Falkirk at Celtic Park, with a sellout crowd expected for the evening match. Following this, Celtic will welcome both Rangers and Hearts before the end of the season, with the latter occurring on the final day of the 25-26 campaign. Ahead of this weekend's fixture, the Green Brigade and the Boys Celtic have urged fans to get up, stand up, a nod to the 1973 Bob Marley and the Wailers song of the same name regarding their show of support for the team. In full, the joint statement on North Curve Celtic said, "As Celtic supporters, we are in uncharted territory, finding ourselves in a 3-way dogfight for the league title. With margins so slim, we have a distinct advantage over our rivals with 3 home matches. However, this is only an advantage if we make use of that home support. It is up to all of us to play our part, to do what we can to give our team an extra ounce of energy and motivation. It is not enough to merely turn up. It is not constructive to turn on the team if they are struggling. It is not helpful to pass our anxiety onto the pitch. Instead, we must meet our own responsibility. We must be vocal. We must back the team and give them energy. We must be their 12th man. We must make Celtic Park a place where Celtic players thrive and opposition players fold. To help this, we invite all Celtic supporters to do 3 simple things. 1. Welcome the team versus Falkirk. Our support begins the minute the Celtic team steps foot on Paradise. Give the champions the welcome they deserve and carry that passion into the stands. 2. Get up, stand up. We invite all who are able to stand for the match. By doing so, you will have more energy and freedom to express yourself. Stand together, stand behind our team. 3. Our Paradise. Decorate every corner of Celtic Park in CSC banners and flags. Make sure that when Celtic take the field, they see the colours behind them, and the opposition see what stands against them. Report by Ryan McGinley. Evening Times Sport, April 22. Suter has part to play in title run-in. Report by Chris Jack. Colin Henry has backed defender John Suter to play a part on and off the park during the Premiership title run-in and reckons his local knowledge will be key for Rangers in the coming weeks. Suter has found regular match minutes harder to come by of late after losing his place to Nasser Djiga. The Burkina Faso stopper has impressed alongside Manny Fernandes and is set to start against Motherwell on Sunday. As one of the few Scottish players within Danny Rowe's squad, Suter knows exactly what a title win would mean to Rangers this term. And former national hero Henry is well aware of the role that a homegrown player can have in a squad that has been assembled from across the continents. Henry, speaking to Rangers Review, said he signed a new contract recently. When playing for such a big club, it is important that you have 1 or 2 Scottish identities in there. Although he's not in the team at the moment, I still think he has a lot to contribute to what has become a really exciting end to the SPFL season. Against Falkirk, we scored 6 but conceded 3. Generally, conceding 3 goals at Rangers or Celtic is not adequate. It's not good enough for clubs of that stature. On the other hand, we are scoring 6. At this stage of the season, it's all about winning games. It's not really about how we play, it's just about results. There are not many Scottish players at all. I think it's really important because a Scotsman will understand what the club is all about. Casting my mind back to 1998, there was an exodus of players and staff. Walter Smith, Andy Gorham, Ali McCoist and Richard Gough had all left. Several Scottish personalities left the football club. I played in the World Cup, and then I was signed by Dick Advocaat to instill a bit of Scottishness back into the team. That was an important thing for me, because that's how they explained it to me. I said I didn't want to become a squad player, but I was happy to fight for my place, and I think I brought back what was needed at the time. Report by Chris Jack. Evening Times Sport, April 22. Tavernier confirms he is leaving Rangers. Report by Blair Meikle. James Tavernier has confirmed he will be leaving Rangers this summer. The Ibrox captain's contract will expire at this season's end, and that will not be extended, with the 34-year-old confirming this morning he will be leaving as a free agent. It brings to an end 11 years of service during which he has won 1 league title to date, 2 Scottish Cups and a League Cup. In a statement on social media, Tavernier said, "To the fans, my teammates and all the staff at the club, after a lot of thought, I have made the decision that this will be my final season at the club. This has not been an easy decision. This club has been a huge part of my life and my family's over the past 11 years. It has given me so much, both on and off the pitch, and from the moment I arrived, I have always tried to give everything I had to represent it in the right way. To have had the honour of being made captain of this club since 2018 is something I will always be incredibly proud of. Leading this team out, wearing the armband, and being trusted in that role has meant more to me than I can properly put into words. We have shared the highs and the lows together, and some truly incredible moments along the way. These include lifting the Scottish Cup, League Cup, our journey to a European final, and those unforgettable European nights at Ibrox against Borussia Dortmund and RB Leipzig, where the atmosphere was something I will never forget. It also includes winning the league title and delivering 55, a moment that meant everything to this club and its supporters, and one I will carry with me for the rest of my life. To all the players I've shared the pitch and dressing room with over the years, thank you. The bonds we have built, the battles we have been through, and the memories we have created are what makes this game so special. To the staff who work tirelessly behind the scenes every single day, thank you for everything you have done for me and for the team. Your support often goes unseen, but it has never gone unappreciated. And to the fans, your support home and away, through every high and every difficult moment, has meant more than I can ever fully express. You are the heart and soul of this club, and it has been a privilege to play in front of you. This is not the end just yet. There is still a season to finish, and we are fully focused on pushing for the league title. I will continue to give absolutely everything, as I always have until the very last day. While I feel the time is right for a new challenge, my focus right now is on finishing this season the right way, together. Thank you for everything this club has given me. It has been the greatest honour of my career to represent it and to lead it. This club will always be a part of me, and I will always be a part of it. Once a Ranger, always a Ranger. Some of Tavernier's teammates from over the years have been reacting to the news, and John Lundstrom said, "One of the best. Never ever hid it in the hard times and delivered at the biggest times. Absolute legend." Liam Balogan said, "Came as a young man, leaving it as a legend. My skipper." Several others, including Mikey Moore and Bojan Miovski, said simply, "Legend." While former manager Steven Gerrard responded with 2 emojis, a heart and a clapping one. Report by Blair Meikle. Evening Times Sport, April 22. FIFA set to perform Tartan Army U-turn. Report by Mark Walker. FIFA are set to perform a World Cup U-turn and allow Tartan Army fans to join in with the American pre-match tradition of tailgating. Scotland will take part in their first World Cup for 28 years in June, with the first 2 games outside Boston against Haiti and Morocco before they travel to Miami to face Brazil. World football's governing body has been under fire after charging extortionate ticket costs for the games, and Boston transport officials were then heavily criticised after they revealed it would cost $95 for Scotland fans to take the 22-mile journey on the train for the first two games. FIFA also insisted there will be no tailgating allowed. American sporting events have a long-established pre-game tradition of tailgating in parking areas where fans cook food and consume beverages several hours before kick-off. It is described as a key social ritual for fans to gather, often bringing grills, chairs and music to create a festive atmosphere ahead of New England Patriots American football games. But Killjoy FIFA originally stated, "No tailgating." Please note that the traditional tailgating, eating and drinking around parked cars, is not permitted for these events. Open containers. In Massachusetts, it is illegal to possess or drink from open containers of alcohol in public spaces. However, they appear to have performed a U-turn and now seem set to allow the tradition ahead of Scotland's two games at the Gillette Stadium. Boston Host Committee President Mike Loynd said, "We accepted that probably without as much interrogation as we should have. There will be more conversations over the next week with World Cup organisers around tailgating, and I think we'll come to a good conclusion. The stadium certainly wants to make sure that the experience is very much like it is for a Patriots game when it comes to that." Report by Mark Walker. Evening Times Sport, April 23. Joshua Barry says, Tavernier is walking away at the right time. James Tavernier is not a man who looks far into the future. He said as much earlier in the week to a small group of journalists gathered to question him on that very topic. No discussions regarding an expiring contract had been forthcoming with the club, and none appeared on the horizon. A couple of days later, all had been decided. By yesterday, with no contract extension forthcoming, nor likely, Tavernier addressed first-team staff and players at the training ground to break the news that he was leaving. Shortly after, a statement was released on his Instagram confirming the news publicly. His message? The job is not over. There's a league title to win. Truthfully, the timing is right. Goodbyes are difficult in football, and they have rarely been well executed at Ibrox across the past decade. Steven Gerrard, Alfredo Morelos, Giovanni van Bronckhorst, none have been celebrated on the way out. Few have done enough to earn that privilege. Whether the 34-year-old bookends his time in Glasgow with a second William Hill Premiership title or without, there is a general acceptance from all sides that now's the time for new beginnings. Social media is rarely a barometer of authenticity, but the tributes that quickly flooded in from Tavernier's current and former teammates were telling. As Nico Raskin said in a mixed zone last year, discussing Tavernier's day-to-day impact, "It's amazing," he said. Connor Goldson famously explained after a League Cup win that Rangers would not appreciate James Tavernier until he was gone. Although the defender's best days are in the past, and Dujong Sterling has usurped him in big matches since manager Danny Rowe's arrival, time will reveal just how central and just how defining a figure Tavernier has been since 2015. A captain in war years rather than glory years, too often dragged down by others, whom he was continually being asked to uplift. How many goals would he have scored in the 1990s? Or to flip the conversation around, how would some legends of yesterday have fared in various iterations of this team? What could those assist numbers have been if delivering the ball to an Ali McCoy, say? What could his trophy haul have amounted to if he was representing the Govan club before the turn of the century? As managers, chief executive and even owners have come and gone since 2015, Tavernier has been the one constant, a custodian in a sense, one of the few comfortable to play protagonist while wearing a heavy shirt. It is important not to rewrite history, because the right back has not been flawless. He really has not been very good at defending the back post, and there have been individual costly errors, such as kicking the ball off of Mason Maida into his own net early in a 3-3 Old Firm draw that exacerbated such issues. But he is so inextricably linked with this club's journey back, and no player has borne the brunt of where Rangers have been in that process more, carrying the heavy load of playing for this club and supporting others at the same time, answerable for others' mistakes too. Tavernier has not enjoyed enough days of celebration, but if a golden period under United States owners is to come, it will have relied on building blocks laid before, none more so than by the captain. Leaders give others room to breathe, room to grow, never hiding, never feigning injury, never ducking. Former manager Philippe Clement explained that after a year in Glasgow, he felt alone in the desert, given the lack of club leadership around him, a far cry in public from the cool composure he arrived with. This city is unique. This club is emotional. Whatever you think of Tavernier, his durability to exist within its vicinity for so long is admirable. What must he have thought of the psychodrama at times in his Rangers career? What regrets must have weighed him down in private moments? Legacy is complex and subjective. Whether or not Tavernier is responsible for a moment of brilliance or culpable in switching off at the back post over these next 5 games will colour it to some degree. Legacy is also fragile. Truly, Tavernier deserved that Europa League title in 2022. It was he who drove his team to within penalty kicks of immortality, scoring the opening goal in each round, ending the tournament as the joint highest scorer. He did his job in the shootout, and if others had done theirs, any debate about whether or not he is a club legend would have ended there and then. That, a year after delivering an invincible title, arguably the most significant in the modern era, had already seen him immortalised in the eyes of many. Across 562 games, he has managed 144 goals and 148 assists. Incredible. And for the disdaining voices that cite penalty kicks as context in those numbers, if it were easy, then anyone would do it. For those of my generation, Tavernier has proven synonymous with our experience of Rangers and often typified it, a neat summation of this past era. Hardly linear, with coasting highs and crushing lows. I remember in an interview I conducted with Tavernier at a mid-season La Manga training camp in 2024, considering what a catalogue of moments he held as we travelled back through some. The Dortmund and Leipzig goals, the free kicks, the strikes on the way to that title, the ridiculous efforts from distance. We often focus on the trophies he has not won, the disappointment he has been chastised for. But what a list of moments, what individual highs to complement the collective lows. Wouldn't it be fitting if this were to end with a title? Wouldn't it be deserved? I've been dying to come up here, put the blue shirt on, and hopefully make the fans proud, he said. How would a young 23-year-old James Tavernier reflect on those first words as a Rangers player 11 years on? One day soon, as he sits back and takes time to reflect, he will realise that while he did not do everything, he did do that. Where does he sit among the pantheon of greats? That is for supporters to decide, based on generation and experience. But make no mistake, James Tavernier sits among them, and he always will. Evening Times Sport, April 23. Rangers want deal to sign Premier League defender. Report by Martin McMillan. Rangers are reportedly keen to sign Nasser De Giga on a permanent basis. The 23-year-old Wolves defender is on loan for the season at Ibrox and has become a key player for Danny Röhl in recent weeks. De Giga, a Burkina Faso international, has played the last 4 matches for Rangers, taking his appearance count to 37 for the club this season. Now, a report from the player's homeland has claimed Rangers chiefs are keen to negotiate terms for a permanent transfer for Giga. The report says Rangers want to strike a deal, but it would come with complications as Wolves prepare for a season in the Championship after relegation from the Premier League. It is thought any deal is likely to be a pricey one, with Wolves keen to recoup their investment in the player at around £10 million when he signed from Red Star. De Giga is under contract at Wolves until 2030, and it could be the case that the player is viewed as a viable starting option next season in the Championship in England. Previously, reports had suggested De Giga was on a mammoth salary with Wolves. It is claimed the defender is paid in the region of £70,000 per week by the English club. Meanwhile, Rangers could look to sign defender Gilberto Batista at a bargain price this summer, according to a report. The centre-back is out of contract at the Portuguese side in 2027, and they have offered him new terms. However, if he does not want to sign for Moreirense, they may be forced to cash in. That's where Rangers could come in, and it is reported that they could land the 22-year-old for £2.6 million. Batista is said to still be weighing up his future and the contract offer on the table, but a summer departure cannot be ruled out given his contract situation. The Ibrox club are likely to need reinforcements at the back. Clubs from all of the big 5 leagues are interested, and it is looking likely Rangers will get an offer for De Giga. Batista is a Burkina Faso international teammate of De Giga's and is 6 feet 2 inches tall. He moved to the Portuguese top-flight side after playing in the lower leagues for Sporting's second team, and has since made 35 appearances. Evening Times Sport, April 23. Scotland issued World Cup heat warning. Report by Mark Walker. A new report has warned Scotland's World Cup stars are at an elevated risk of extreme heat because of soaring temperatures in their final group game against Brazil in Miami. Scotland will play their last game in the group stages in Florida against the South American superstars at Miami's Hard Rock Stadium. The game will kick off at 6 p.m. local time to try and avoid the most extreme of the notorious Miami heat during the game. However, historical weather data for the game on June 24 suggests a wet bulb globe temperature, a measure of temperature, humidity, wind speed and solar radiation, of 90 degrees for the Scotland versus Brazil kick-off time. And experts have warned that Scotland players are at high risk of heat exhaustion because they are not used to playing in such extreme temperatures. University of Nebraska at Omaha professor in geography and geology Daniel Vesiello said, "Later start times are better than kickoffs that would start during the middle of the day, but precautions will still need to be taken to ensure player health and safety. Extreme heat persists in Miami right throughout the day. Recent studies suggest it is normal for Miami's WBGT temperatures to hover around 79 degrees as late as 8 p.m. Some teams playing in Miami, like Scotland, will be less accustomed to these conditions, and therefore there is an elevated risk of extreme heat for player welfare." Players Union FIFPro believes FIFA should lower the threshold needed to delay or postpone a match due to extreme heat, but FIFA insists they will monitor conditions on a game-by-game basis. They state, if forecasts indicate elevated temperatures, it would trigger stadiums to activate additional cooling capacity, including shaded areas, misting systems, cooling buses, and expanded water distribution. FIFA will continue to monitor conditions in real time and stands ready to apply established contingency protocols should extreme weather events occur. Report by Mark Walker. Evening Times Sport, April 23. Golf, Scottish Open to stay in East Lothian. The Genesis Scottish Open will continue to be played at the Renaissance Club in East Lothian through to 2030, the DP Tour have announced. The event, which is also part of the PA Tour schedule, has been held there since 2019, with this year's tournament running from July 9 to 12, ahead of the Open at Royal Birkdale. There has been a layout change for the 2026 tournament, which includes the par 3 6-hole, the Thistle, now becoming the 15th. The Renaissance Club has been a fantastic host venue for the Genesis Scottish Open over the past 8 years, and we are delighted to be able to call it our home through to 2030, said Scottish Open champion director Rory Colville. The venue has grown and developed with the event in that time, and John and Jerry Sarvadi and their team have really been committed to providing a world-class experience for everyone on site, with the latest changes to the championship course routing just the latest part of that evolution. John Sarvadi, the venue's CEO, added, "We at the Renaissance Club are thrilled to extend our role as host venue for the Genesis Scottish Open, an event that has firmly established itself as one of the premier tournaments in world golf. Meanwhile, the PGA Tour are considering pathways to accommodate LIV golf players who decide to return to their circuit, according to Chief Executive Brian Rolap. Speculation has mounted that the Saudi Public Investment Fund is set to end its backing of the breakaway competition, which is reported to be approaching $5 billion since the series was launched in 2021. LIV Golf CEO Scott O'Neill insists funding remains for the current season, with a business plan in the works to keep us going. Speaking to the Pat McAfee Show podcast, Rolap was asked whether the PGA Tour had any defined pathways for other players who wanted to be reinstated following the high-profile return to the fold of Brooks Koepka, and with Patrick Reed also looking to regain his full membership this year. Rolap said, "We are thinking about it. We are reading all the same headlines you are reading. We don't know what is going on over there. We know these guys are under contract, and we will respect that." Brooks Koepka came back onto the tour because he made a phone call and said, "I'm out of my contract and I'm ready to come back. So we are thinking about it." Evening Times Sport, April 24. Craig Fowler on the Runners and Riders for the PFA Scotland Manager of the Year award. Last week we learned Scottish footballers really have an affinity for the current Motherwell team after 5 of their players were selected amongst the 11 who made up the Scottish Premiership Team of the Season. Every year, the timing of the PFA Scotland Awards simultaneously manages to be a little strange and completely understandable. Why hand out awards before the season has even finished? Surely you need to see the whole picture to make a proper assessment. But at the same time, these are members' awards. They are for the players, by the players. And those members are not going to want to attend an awards ceremony a couple of weeks after the season has concluded. They'd much rather work on their tan in a hotter climate or begin preparations for playing at an international tournament. For the awards given to the players, this is not as much of an issue. Judging a particular player on their performances across 9/10 of the campaign should give you a fair reflection of their overall performance. But for managers, it is a little different. They are judged far more intensely on the bottom line. Did you win the title? Did you get into Europe? Did the end result vastly outperform expectation at the outset? With all this in mind, we try to delve into the collective psyche of Scottish football's on-field talent and try to guess who will be in the running and who will come out on top in the PFA Scotland Manager of the Year award, which will be announced at the awards ceremony a week on Sunday. The man who will win, Derek McInnes of Hearts. Let's not overthink this. Hearts have been top of the Premiership for the vast majority of the season and have been arguably the biggest Scottish football story in decades. McInnes has led this unlikely title charge and will likely be rewarded for it with some personal accolades. Yes, there is the Jamestown factor to potentially consider. The narrative around the analytics software may have some believing the success is driven more by data than coaching, but have a look at the squad. With Alexandros Kirzaridis having tailed off following an electrifying opening few months. Claudio Braga is really the only player brought in who is head and shoulders above the majority of players already at the club. Meanwhile, McInnes has worked wonders with the likes of Cammy Devlin, Craig Halkett, and has rejuvenated Lawrence Shankland. He should win. The other nominees: Jens Berthel Askew of Motherwell. As mentioned earlier, the voters absolutely love this Motherwell team, so there is perhaps an outside shot of the Dane getting this award, and to be fair, it would not be completely undeserved. Just about every player Motherwell have signed has been a success, while he has undoubtedly improved the performance of many players he inherited from his predecessors. Stephen O'Donnell went from looking nearly finished at this level to appearing back to his Steve Clark's secret child at best. Paul McGinn has turned into a Poundland Franco Baresi. Callum Ward was voted the league's best keeper. They were wrong, but it still happened. And Tawanda Mashwanish is the top goal scorer in the division. He has undoubtedly done a terrific job, regardless of whether Motherwell finish in the top floor or not. John McGlynn at Falkirk. McGlynn is similar to his Fir Park contemporary in that he's received a lot of praise for a team overachieving and doing so while playing expansive attacking football. What might give McGlynn the nod is two factors. Firstly, he's the PFA darling, having won the award the last 2 years. And secondly, none of his players made the Team of the Year, which may suggest a perception that Falkirk are much greater than the sum of their parts, thanks to the manager. The dark horses: David Gold and Colin Hamilton of Arbroath. A lower league manager has won it the last 2 years, so do not count out someone from beyond the Premiership getting involved in the discussion. If so, this pair are the most likely, having led newly promoted part-time Arbroath to the playoffs in the Championship. It's a shame for the former teammates turned co-managers that their success this season may be overlooked somewhat because it doesn't quite live up to the near miracle Arbroath performed 4 years ago under Dick Campbell. It's only the second time a part-time team had qualified for the Premiership playoffs, and is a terrific achievement for a pair who first took over with Arbroath bottom of League One. However, it still doesn't quite live up to the achievements of Campbell's near title winners, who set the gold standard for part-time clubs in the second tier. The guys with little to no chance, but worth a mention. Danny Rowe of Rangers. He'd have a strong case if this was all taking place at the end of the season and Rangers had won the title. Folk will always make the case that the league winner should be manager of the year, and Rowe certainly had a harder route to navigate than prior contenders from Ibrox, having managed to pick up the pieces and glue them together again after the disastrous Russell Martin spell. But in a year with so much overachievement elsewhere, and the possibility that Rangers could still finish third, it's hard to see this happening. Martin O'Neill, Celtic. If we're including Rowe, then it's probably only fair to give O'Neill a mention as well. After all, he has not just had to clean up the mess one person has made. He's had to do it with two. He won't get the award and won't be in serious contention, but could have the last laugh if Celtic could still pull off the double. A Celtic fan I know, who shall remain nameless, thinks such an achievement would put him in the company of Jock Stein among the Celtic greats. I personally think that's mental, but it does show the respect the 73-year-old has among the support for, firstly, waking the team from their Brendan Rodgers-induced slumber, and then getting them focused once more, with the players still presumably giggling about Wilfred Nancy's travel tactics board. Sean Crichton, Queen's Park. The fact that Queen's Park will still be a championship club in 26-27 is largely down to the stellar work of their manager, a team already toiling in the bottom half of the second tier saw its budget cut further last summer, with Crichton having to use a threadbare squad and paying presumably the lowest wages of any full-time team at the level. We should also note that their ground is barely fit for purpose. There's uncertainty as to how the club will survive when Willie Hockley fully removes his funding, and the fans are deeply unhappy with those in charge. It's hardly an environment conducive to performing above expectations, but that's exactly what Crichton and his team have done. It should also be noted that they have managed to survive and somehow improve after the sale of leading goalscorer Josh Fowler in January. Gary Naismith, Stenhousemuir. Probably a victim of his own success to some degree, this is the second consecutive season where Naismith has Stenhousemuir as promotion contenders in the third tier. They have improved upon last season and could still take their challenge to Inverness Caledonian Thistle in the title race down to the wire. But you would not have been too surprised at the outset if Steny finished in the playoffs, and that's enough to keep him from any serious contention, says Craig Fowler. Evening Times Sport, April 24. McGlynn counting cost of semi-final defeat. Report by Gavin McCafferty. Falkirk have lost 3 key players to injury at the back of their Hampden defeat. Goalkeeper Scott Bain and defenders Liam Henderson and Philippe Lissa will miss tomorrow's trip to Celtic Park after picking up injuries in the Scottish Cup semi-final against Dunfermline. There is uncertainty over when Scotland international Bain will return, but manager John McGlynn does not expect him to be in danger of missing out on a potential trip to the World Cup. Said McGlynn, Scott could be an issue. He hurt his ankle and got a scan on it. There's nothing broken, but there's a little bit of bone bruising and it's a bit tender. It's not straightforward. I don't think it's going to go into the summer. If anything, it might be a 2 or 3 week thing. He might still be able to get a game in before the end of the season, fingers crossed. Liam Henderson has got a little bit of a hamstring injury, not too serious, but it's not cleared up enough in time for Saturday. Philippe has been nursing something on his ankle, which showed up a little bit in the MRI scan. We will need to manage him between now and the end of the season. He's not going to be able to play this week. He might be able to give us something between now and the end of the season. McGlynn has challenged his team to get over their shootout loss by pushing for 5th spot and a potential European place. And he said, I'm not going to lie, it's been difficult. It was a sore one for us, each and every one of us. Monday was quite sombre, going over the analysis on it. However, you need to kick yourselves up the backside and get on with it, and that's basically what we've done. Hibs are the closest to us. There's 5 points. We want to try and narrow that down as best we can and try to give it a go, because Europe is still a possibility. It's a tall order, but that's exactly what we've got to do. Report by Gavin McCafferty. Evening Times Sport, April 27. Golf. Genesis Scottish Open reveal new partner. Report by Christy Dorsey. A major UK law firm with a leading presence in Scotland has signed a partnership agreement with the country's premier professional men's golf competition. The 3-year deal means the firm will become the first official legal supporter of the Genesis Scottish Open, which takes place at the Residence Club in East Lothian from July 9 to 12. The tournament is a prime fixture on the DP World Tour and one of 5 that makes up the Rolex Series, and is also the final chance for players to qualify for the Open Championship that takes place this year at Royal Birkdale. Alan Shanks, head of Scotland at Addleshaw Goddard, said the agreement will bolster the London headquartered firm's presence in the country. And he continued, "We are thrilled to become the official legal supporter of the Genesis Scottish Open, a partnership which not only adds further weight to our presence in the Scottish market, but will showcase our brand and expertise to a truly international audience. The Genesis Scottish Open is one of the most high-profile and prestigious events in Scotland and is the perfect fit and alignment with the AG brand. This partnership will provide a unique platform for us to engage with our clients. We also have exciting plans to build on our commitment to unlocking young potential over the period of our partnership." Last year's winner of the Genesis Scottish Open was United States underdog Chris Gotterup, who went on to represent his country in the 2025 Ryder Cup, in part on the strength of that performance. Among other previous winners are Scotland's Bob McIntyre and Colin Montgomerie, as well as Grand Slam winner Rory McIlroy, who has confirmed his participation in this year's event. We are delighted to welcome Addleshaw Goddard as the official legal supporter of the Genesis Scottish Open, said Rory Colville, Senior Championship Director at the DP World Tour. The tournament continues to go from strength to strength, and partnerships like this play an important role in helping us deliver a world-class event on Scotland's Golf Coast for players, fans and partners alike. Addleshaw Goddard's strong Scottish presence, combined with its international reach and its commitment to creating positive social impact, makes it an excellent fit for the Genesis Scottish Open, and we look forward to working together over the coming years. Addleshaw Goddard has 21 offices internationally, which includes 3 Scottish locations in Edinburgh, Glasgow and Aberdeen. Report by Christy Dorsey. Evening Times Sport, April 27. Glasgow City squad depth can be key in ladies' final straight. Report by Alison McConnell. Glasgow City manager Leanne Ross has said that the full Petershill squad will be needed as City look to overhaul Hearts and snatch the title. Ross's side plays Celtic on Wednesday, 24 hours after league leaders Hearts play Partick Thistle. And Ross has said that the January transfer window was used to bolster City's squad, expecting such a tight scenario to unfold at this stage of the season. And she said, "It is hugely important. We have been banging on about this all season. But we made sure that we had a strong squad, and we strengthened again in the January window, knowing that this stage of the season is really difficult. The players have worked hard, and some of them deserve the chance to start on Friday night and show what they can do. All 25 players that we have, bar those who have injuries, are fighting and pushing, so it is difficult to select a team. That is how it needs to be across the remaining games, because there is everything to play for. It is a short space of time to prepare, but we need to go away and do a lot of work and get the team prepared. Come Wednesday night, we need to be ready and be fighting for it. We are at home and we want to give it everything we have got. It is all still to play for, and there are huge games still to come. I thought we had a good performance, but every game is really important now, added Ross. We had challenging results across the last 3 games, so you can see how hard we have worked across the international break. Rangers play Hibs on Wednesday night with Leanne Crichton's side 4 points off Hearts after their defeat to Eva Olid's team on Friday night. Said the Rangers manager, "There are 12 points still to play for, and we will be fighting for every one of them." At the bottom end of the table, Motherwell confirmed their SWPL survival with a 3-0 win over Hamilton Accies in the Lanarkshire derby. Lucy Ronald opened the scoring for Motherwell in the second half, before Hamilton were reduced to 10 players when Shelley Campbell was shown a straight red card. Carla Boyce and Mason Blythe Clark added to Accies' difficulties with further goals. Accies manager Bobby Watson said, "I think there was a clear handball at the second goal and a suspicion of frustration of offside, so it is pretty frustrating. I didn't see the sending off, but they had a few niggles before it, and then the next thing I was told was that Shelley had stamped on her. They had a striker who committed 6 fouls in the game with no yellow card, so yes, a bit frustrating. The referees don't seem to want to book for persistent fouling, and that changes on people's play and it changes games." Meanwhile, Aberdeen's relegation playoff spot was confirmed after their 1-0 defeat to Montrose, with Georgia Carter scoring the only goal of the game. With just 2 games remaining of the bottom 6 campaign, Scott Booth's side are now 9 points behind Motherwell above them. The Dons will now face a relegation playoff final match against the winning SWPL 2 team. Report by Alison McConnell. Evening Times Sport, April 27. Hearts already eyeing Rangers game. Report by Matthew Lindsay. Derek McInnes has predicted that Hearts' victory over Hibs could prove to be crucial for them in the Scottish title race, then revealed he has told his players they cannot allow themselves to get carried away with the Edinburgh Derby win. McInnes, whose side came from behind to beat opponents who played most of the second half with 9 men, 2-1, was delighted with both the performance and result at Easter Road yesterday. With Rangers crashing to a 3-2 defeat to Motherwell at Ibrox earlier in the day, the Tynecastle club are now 3 points clear of nearest challenger Celtic, with just 4 games remaining. However, their manager, who is hoping key players Cammy Devlin and Harry Millen will be available for the meeting with Danny Rowe's team in Gorgie a week today, has stressed that they must build on the triumph in the coming weeks. "I thought we'd come up with a big moment, and we did," he said, as he looked back on the late Blair Spittle winner. I think we deserved it. A derby game can be quite contentious, but we kept our discipline, we kept our composure, we kept all 11 men on the pitch, and we kept our calmness to get the result. It is a big win for us in the sense that it is against our local rivals, and it's the first game after the split. If you win your first game, it can give you impetus and the confidence to go and deal with what's ahead of you. It's a big weekend for us and Celtic because Rangers have lost, but there's another round of fixtures next weekend, and it could easily be us on the wrong side if we do not knuckle down and get on with the job. I think the fans deserve that, and the players deserve that moment. It's a derby game and you've got to enjoy that. But as I said to the players afterwards, we cannot over-celebrate or get carried away. We've got work to do. We've got a very important week. It was a good moment for us, but it was not over the top. I've told the players we need to stay focused because nobody's going to give us this. We can't depend on anybody. It's what we do on our own merits, and we've got wins to get yet. Obviously, next Monday is a brilliant game for us at home to Rangers. We knew we would only have 2 home games post-split. We're unbeaten at home. We're strong at home. The question that's been asked to us recently is, can Hearts win away games? So that was such a significant away win for us. Hopefully we can get a couple of players ready for Rangers on Monday. Hopefully we can come through unscathed this week. We've had too many injuries to contend with. We're well aware of what's at stake, but I take confidence from the fact that our win ratio against teams in the top 6 is over 70%, better than any other team. We have got to remain confident because we've never really wavered all season. We have believed in what we're doing. We work properly. We never accept bad at practice. We don't have a lazy day. We're all for the next game, and we need to be ready for the next game. We don't want pats on the back for good old Hearts taking it all the way. It might well go all the way, but we need to be prepared to go all the way and try and win it. We've got games to win. We cannot get too caught up and allow ourselves to think we'll be disappointed. I'm not allowing any negative chat to come into it. Report by Matthew Lindsay. Evening Times Sport, April 27. Danny Rowe delivers title message at Rangers Awards ceremony. Report by Stuart Wilson. Danny Rowe has delivered a defiant message to the Rangers support at the club's Player of the Year Awards, hours after that 3-2 defeat to Motherwell. The club's title hopes were handed a big blow as Jens Berthel Asku's side scored late to seal all 3 points at Ibrox. This, coupled with Hearts' defeat of Hibs at Easter Road, has left Roll and his team 4 points behind the league leaders, with their next game occurring against Derek McInnes' side at Tynecastle. Despite the club's perilous title position, head coach Roll took to the stage to deliver a speech to those in attendance at the awards ceremony. Last but not least, I arrived with my team in October, he said. The atmosphere was not well, but as we showed as a club what we can do if we can stick together. These players, our players, have everything to go again. It's a final. We have to win. This group, our players, will do everything to win this game, and we'll see who wins at the end of the season. Though Rangers have not posted or documented the winners of last night's awards, it is understood that Emmanuel Fernandez won Player of the Year, while Jack Butland was awarded Players Player of the Year by his teammates. Mikey Moore picked up Young Player of the Year for his efforts, having enjoyed a fruitful spell on loan from Tottenham Hotspur. Meanwhile, Chris Boyd has given a frank assessment of Rangers' title chances this season, insisting that Rolls' side must win at Tynecastle or their league hopes are done. After Celtic's 3-1 defeat of Falkirk on Saturday evening, both Rangers and Hearts looked to respond, with the former playing first at Ibrox against Motherwell. Despite coming back from 2-0 down, thanks to a double from Yusuf Chermiti, a late Emmanuel Longello goal condemned the home side to a 3-2 loss against Jens Berthel Asku's side. This, coupled with Hearts' 2-1 win over the 9 men of Hibs, has put the Ibrox side in a desperate situation, according to former striker Boyd, who said, "Rangers have to go there to Tynecastle and win, or it's done. Celtic will be sitting at home, buzzing with that result at Ibrox. Then you look at Hibs going and winning here at Easter Road. It might have been them saying this could be ours again. But Hearts have just found another way to go and keep winning a game of football and ask questions of Glasgow's Big Two." Evening Times Sport, April 27. Scotland star helps Dinamo Zagreb to title. Report by Mark Walker. Scotland defender Scott McKenna has won the first major honour in his career after his Dinamo Zagreb side regained the Croatian title in style. The former Aberdeen and Nottingham Forest stopper became the first ever Scot to play in Croatia last summer when he moved from Las Palmas to Dinamo. And he led the celebrations after he played and grabbed an assist in a 2-1 win against Varazdin to officially clinch the title. Dinamo are 15 points clear with 4 games still to go as they romp to the league and won it back after Rijeka claimed it last season. It's the first winner's medal the 29-year-old McKenna has won in his career. Dinamo Zagreb boss Mario Kovacevic praised his squad, including McKenna, who is set to win his 50th Scotland cap in next month's friendly at Hampden against Curacao. He said, "The players deserve all the credit for this. We brought in some new signings, and they have been incredibly good for us. We wanted to end the story with a win, and we managed that, and now we are ready to celebrate. The players deserve that. Next, we have a cup final to prepare for, and we will do everything to win it." Meanwhile, Lennon Miller is maturing into a top young Serie A star, according to his Udinese manager Costa Runiec. The Scotland midfielder has made 19 appearances in the Italian top flight this season, after Udinese splashed out £4.7 million to land him. The 19-year-old has started 6 games in Serie A, and his German manager has been impressed at how Miller has settled into Italian football. And he said, "I am very happy that Lennon is here with us. He is a great talent. He's still very young, but I can already see he has character and mentality. The future is in his hands. He is not a replacement for Jesper Karlstrom, but he can certainly play as an important midfielder. I think he is better as a midfielder in the 3-5-2 or in a 2-man midfield. He still needs to improve his physicality in the future, but I'm very happy with him and the way he is progressing here at the club." Meanwhile, Spanish legend Xavi has tipped Scotland's World Cup opponents Brazil to win the World Cup this summer because of the Carlo Ancelotti factor. Steve Clarke's side faced Brazil in Miami in the third game of the group stages in June, after playing Haiti and Morocco in Boston. There have been doubts over Brazil's hopes after an underwhelming qualifying campaign and the succession of flops at recent World Cups. But Barcelona icon Xavi, who played over 500 games for the club and won 4 Champions League titles and 8 La Liga championships before going on to manage them, believes Brazil have a great chance in the USA and said, "Brazil can be champions. Firstly, because Carlo Ancelotti is there as their coach, who brings out the best in players. And secondly, because Brazil dominates teams at the World Cup. They still have great players, and Ancelotti always competes to win titles. The other favourites are Spain, Argentina, France and Portugal, but Brazil is the cradle of football."
That concludes this week's edition of the Glasgow Times Sports Podcast. Please remember to subscribe to our channels at Q and Review and to tell your friends about our service